here's the mouse that's about to go into a test run in the mud. The hull bottom first had to be freed from the mud and the grip of the tracks bolstered by tree trunks placed beneath them. Digging away the mud on the sides and in front of the tank reduced static friction, making it easier for the mouse to get itself out. So there it's plowed into the mud in a boggy ground. And here in this image you see the depth of the tank. In this middle part is what's rubbing up against the very middle of the tank, and here's the track parts, and here's the top, and there's snow here. Mud enters the driver's compartment. So here's the driver, and there's the forward compartment, and he's shoving the mud out. And there, the mud is actually coming up through an open escape hatch in the driver compartment. So that's kind of funny. Dr. Ferdinand Porsche was on site, and he noticed that the driver was not going through a heavily used area. So he said, go through the place where there's no tracks, and just go through there. And this is what happened. They got stuck in a bog, and that's kind of funny. The entire hull bottom is in contact with the ground. Consequently, the tracks no longer have the necessary ground pressure to grip. So you see, there's the mud line, and here's the top of the tank, and the guys are on top. Here's this like nasty gouge. Here in this image, there's sort of like a pond here that's stopped by this. Here's the slave weight or make-believe turret, and here's the hull, and then here's a couple guys here. There's a guy here, and there's maybe a part of a guy here, and then a whole bunch of guys over here, like 4 of them. So you can see the stupendous size of this thing. And here these guys are, they're all standing on the deck of the tank, and they're all laboring to get out. Here's that little pond formed up to the damned tank. I like this. There's a network of drainage trenches around the tank. Drainage ditches were dug. The work took almost 2 days. Then the mouse was able to crawl out of the mud under its own power, leaving behind a deep, muddy hole. So there's like, here's the fender, I think, of the tank. This is a good image. This tank, the mouse, and all these dudes, and then there's a little pond, and then this is wood they're gonna put under the tracks, and you can view the track here. Pioneers have brought felled tree trunks to the marshy hollow to place them beneath the tank's tracks. Okay, so here you see the tank again, and a track here, and there's a guy right here, and there's a whole lot of guys here, and you see the snow. So it's kind of nasty time of weather, nasty time of year. There's trees, hillside, and the mouse freed. And here you see like the upper level of where the mud went. So you imagine the gargantuan weight of this stupendous tank just bore down on the bog. Cleaning up after the self-recovery. Left behind is a huge muddy hole. No doubt. There's the tracks. So again, Dr. Porsche was on site, and he's like, hey, Ring or somebody, driver, go drive where it's just wilderness and bracken over there. And the driver's probably like, uh-oh. So he does, and the whole thing gets bogged down. It's really funny. It's story. And then that might be Porsche, but I don't know. She's all dressed up and ready to go someplace. And that is a Panzer Mouse production.